Solving depression, one hot dicking at a time. Howdy hole, and welcome back to Hole Chat, a podcast that says yes to self-lubricating buttholes.
No.
I'm your host, Chuck, and with me is someone that I hate to see go, but love to watch her leave, Keelz.
Oh, because you're looking at my butt.
Amongst other things.
But mainly my butt. It's the nicest part about me.
No, there's other parts.
No, I think it's the butt.
No, but the curvature of your spine's really good. You're generally really curvy in between. You're very comfortable to hold.
The curvature of my spine is the scoliosis I got.
Oh, looks damn good, girl.
But also, I don't support self-lubricating buttholes. You gotta work for it.
We both read too much.
Lube that fucker up.
No, we both read a lot of ABO. You cannot say that with your whole chest.
I can too. There's so many ABOs that actually still use lube, and I'm goddamn proud of them.
Well, their omegas aren't wet enough.
Well, women aren't normally wet enough either. Women can be plenty wet, but, you run out. That's what lubricant's for.
I'm going to hold my tongue about something, because I don't think you want everyone to know that, and we're just going to skip along.
Are we going to talk about my wet-ass pussy? My wop, wop, wop? Because I have enough lubricant to donate, let me tell you that.
I'm going to have to cut this out.
Yeah? Too much?
Or bleep it, we'll see. Well, it's still winter, and it will be for a while. So says the little rodent that decides that kind of stuff. So that means more time for depression.
Did he run from a shadow this year?
I think so.
Damn, fucker.
I knew it was coming.
I mean, it's cold. It's 20 degrees out right now.
Exactly. So.
Which is nothing for other people who actually have snow and other shit.
But is bad for where we live. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
So since seasonal depression's still on the menu, I figured we could do a story where depression plays a really big role.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about bye-bye. That is what it's called. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye?
Yeah. Like goodbye.
Okay, so bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's ominous, given that you also said it's about depression.
Oh, wait till we get to the jump-off point, because it starts out crazy, dog.
Also, I'm not even thinking about bye-bye, goodbye. I'm thinking bye-bye-bye.
Yeah, you're thinking about ramen-haired Justin Timberlake.
Uh-huh, and, Deadpool.
Fair.
Any good yaoi fan.
There was a lot of yaoi in that last Deadpool movie, so I'll give you that one. But Bye Bye is a 2021 novel written by Sorim and adapted into a comic by Kang. It's a weird little story that focuses way more on mental health than you'd expect. That being said, immediate trigger warning for this one. This story deals a lot with depression, grief, and most importantly, suicide. So if these things bother you, or you're not in the headspace today, girl, bye.
Bye, 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 bye.
Skip this one. Come back later. Listen to another episode. Or read your fave manga or manhwa instead. Just take care of yourself. We will not be upset if you focus on your health first. Promise. This is not that deep.
Yeah, do something cute. Go watch, I don't know, Apothecary Diaries. That's pretty cute.
There's murder in that one.
Oh, for those who don't like murder, go watch Spy Family.
There's murder in Spy Family.
But it's so silly.
Keelz. What the fuck, dog?
It's really silly. And it's not that depressing yet, but give it a minute. Ooh, I don't know a happy series off the top of my head.
Precure is right there.
Who?
Precure. Magical girl shit. You can do that all day, dude.
I don't know Precure. Who is she?
It's several of them. It's magical girls.
I genuinely don't know what that is.
You don't need to know. Everyone else needs to know.
Okay, she has a recommendation for you. I don't. Apparently I like shows that are laced with sad little intricacies.
You picked the murder anime first, dude.
I mean, it ain't that bad.
Whatever. So, sometimes you gotta start hard and fast with a story, and Bye Bye does just that. First chapter finds our main character, Seoyu, standing on a bridge in the rain in the middle of the night, contemplating the finality of his next move.
Oh.
Specifically, he thinks it's about time that he does this. It's the natural conclusion to how his life has been going. The only worry he has is that the water rushing beneath him will be cold when he finally takes the plunge.
I mean, like, that's a good worry to have. And maybe because you're worried about the cold, turn your ass back around and go home. Or go check into a hotel.
Uh-huh. Well, luckily for him, right as he's about to step out of his shoes, he's blasted by the bright lights of a car. His attention is now 100% on the luxury vehicle careening down the roadway. He slips his shoes back on as he realizes the car is likely going to crash, and crash it does. Seoyu rushes over to check on the driver, pounding at the driver's side window. The door abruptly swings open, nailing Seoyu in the shoulder. Out steps a rather large, tall and broad kind of large, like...
Mm-hmm.
I think Seoyu is like 5'8". This motherfucker is probably like 6'1", 6'2", right out the gate.
I hope he doesn't,
like broad-chested.
I hope he doesn't beat him up. Because you hear, big, massive guy gets out of the car after he wrecked his luxury car, and I'm like, oh, man.
No, just a big guy. And Seoyu also realizes very quickly this is a big guy, but not an old guy. So not anywhere close to his age. Definitely like young,
high school or
tall.
Something.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So large, tall, broad, young man.
The youth, they're so big.
Yeah.
Oh, they're getting bigger and bigger every year.
Truthfully. He pays Seoyu no attention, instead focusing on the damage to the car, lamenting the fact that his older brother will likely kill him for this. Seoyu ponders if this big guy is actually a big little guy that's too young to legally drive.
It's like, oh, look at this giant guy who is actually probably 15 or something. Mm-hmm. That's so funny.
Suddenly, the young man turns on Seoyu to yell questions at him. Like, why were you on the bridge in the middle of the night? Why are you dressed like a goddamn Grim Reaper? Because Seoyu is like dressed in black from head to toe. So it wouldn't be visible either when he like goes over or like by a car or whatever.
Did he wreck because he almost hit him?
Not that he almost hit him. Seoyu is like safe because there's like the bridge is...
It's got a guarded rail.
It's got a regular rail to keep anybody from tipping off, and then it's got like a footpath and then a big rail on the footpath as well.
Right.
So this kid like ran into the rail protecting the footpath.
Right, but did he like wreck because he thought this kid was a ghost? This other man was
He got spooked.
Yeah.
He doesn't specify why he got spooked, but he got spooked because there's just some... Like, but I feel it. If I was just driving along some random road and then I saw somebody come out of nowhere in the darkness, I have jiggled my wheel a little bit because it freaks me out to suddenly see a person.
Yeah. No, like, there's definitely been accidents like that where animals do that. I'm sure there's been accidents where people... like appeared out of the darkness and caused an accident. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense to me. But it's just, he sounds like a little chicken shit. Yeah,
so he's like, why are you dressed this way? What were you even doing? And of course, like admonishing Seoyu for causing the crash.
Young man.
He is acting like a panicked child, and Seoyu immediately clocks this. He easily tricks the kid into spilling the deets about what exactly he was doing as well to cause this crash.
Which is, I stole Dad's car.
Worse, his car was a present from his mother for passing the college entrance exams. Which lets you know, this is not an adult. This is a high school kid that is just about to graduate. And it also explains why this kid has no idea if his car is insured or not. So
he doesn't know.
No, because he gets asked and he's like, car insurance? I don't know. Maybe.
Dude, okay. Young men, young women, when you get a car, you should at least know that. Because, like, I'm sorry. I feel like on your first day, a lot of people do something to their car on accident. I
Mm-hmm.
locked my keys in my car on the first day I got it because I was so excited and nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Dumb thing to do, let me tell you. But, like, it's a thing because, like, I know my friend, for instance, like, scratched her car the first day she got it because
Mm-hmm.
again, you're so nervous and excited. And, like, for our cases, me and my friend, we were both 16,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just crazy.
This is not the depth of the dumb that this child inhabits during this story. It gets worse. And once Seoyu gives him an estimate of the damage, he fully gives up the ghost, saying his brother will kill him for not waiting to drive until next year.
You're supposed to wait.
The car was a gift, but he wasn't supposed to drive until next year.
Oh, buddy. But also, that's on them. Why are you giving your child a car that they're not supposed to touch for a year? That feels rude.
Yes, I agree with that. So I feel for this kid. This is such a scary situation to be in. But also, the outfit that he's wearing costs more than my writ.
God. Rich aside, I'm just judging the parents a little bit. Yes, he should have the maturity to not, like, break a rule, but that's a hard rule. Hey, here's a really nice present. You can't use it for a year. That's a little bit bullshitty.
The deeper we get into this, you'll realize that this kid also had other options. So it's like, yes, you shouldn't have, but also, kid, you had other options.
I
You
know he had
dumbass.
other options. I can already guess he had other options. It doesn't matter. You went to this dumb child and said, "Here's a luxurious car, all for you, but not for a year. But it's in the
Not
garage.
yet.
And here's where the keys are." No, that's stupid. That's you tempting the child. You wanted this child to make a stupid mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about it.
Well, Seoyu doesn't have time to worry about some rich kid, especially a rich alpha, which he clocks immediately as well.
Oh, so this is like alpha mega stories.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, we're doing ABO today.
Ta-da! Prestige.
What is ABO? Omegaverse, or ABO, is a fiction subgenre that supposes the existence of a dominance hierarchy among humans that consist of alpha, beta, and omega humans. Originally created in the 1960s, likely within the Star Trek fandom, it's persisted rather quietly for years until it gained rapid popularity in the late 2010s. The popular manifestation of the genre within queer spaces usually relies on a universe in which human beings have developed a secondary gender in addition to new secondary sexual sex characteristics. With alphas being dominant, harder, better, faster, and stronger than their peers, betas being average humans, and omegas being softer, worser, slower, and weaker. In addition, alphas and omegas release pheromones that are only detected by those of their subgender and can trigger rut or heat in alphas and omegas respectively. Omegas are the only individuals in the ABO hierarchy that have monthly heat cycles, can get pregnant from alphas and betas from either sex, and come equipped with enough natural lubrication to keep someone's engine running for a long time. There are many subgenres of ABO that twist and tweak rules to suit different tastes, all in the name of having a sexy, fun time. That's all, and happy rutting. I'm fist deep in ABO all the time because it's everywhere at this point. So sorry, yes, this is an ABO story.
That's why we're talking about lubricating buttholes.
Yes.
Oh, I get your joke now. I just thought you randomly brought it up, and I was like, I don't support a randomly lubricated butthole. What are we talking about?
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. A self-lubricating butthole out of the blue, horrendous, worried, scared, not a fan of. ABO universe, fine, normal,
Yes.
expected, positive.
Yes.
Soyu doesn't have time to worry about some rich kid, especially a rich alpha, which he is already determined about this kid. Homeboy.
Is it just from scent alone or attitude?
Yeah, okay. It's from scent because like once a car door was like fully open and he's kind of examining the situation, he then smells that scent, which makes sense because I've gotten in people's cars. They smell like them or whatever food they had 2 days ago, you know,
or whatever weed they smoke.
Oh yeah, always the weed. Yeah.
I gotta say, I know, like, we're just now talking about, like, it's normal to smell stuff on people. I think it would be so weird to live in a universe where if you sniff someone, you'd be like, you're an alpha, or oh, you're an Omega. Like, that would suck so bad for me. I don't need people smelling my shit and being able to identify that about me.
Like, is that ode to butthole?
Yeah, I don't. Or, like, I don't know what it would be like since you're a girl. Is that, oh, that's extra vaginal juice? Like,
sorry.
No, it's weird, right? It's weird to think about it.
I don't want to think about it in real life.
Yeah.
But Seoyu laughs at the absurdity of it all. If only this kid hadn't crashed and had actually taken him out instead.
Don't!
He says as much out loud, which is sure something.
Kid, run. Run away from this suicidal man. Because now I'm just scared for the kid. And I know this dude is our main character, but that's a little bit creepy and scary to say in front of a young person.
Yep. He tells the kid to get checked at the hospital just in case and turns to leave. Damn, he couldn't commit this time, even though he's been planning for so long. Yeah. His delighted little thoughts are interrupted by our dumb baby boy as he runs to catch up to him, shouting the whole way.
Hey, mister, you gonna kill yourself? Sorry. This is so serious, and this is very nice that he's gonna stop the Mr. Kill Yourself. But I'm struggling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my head today, I'm just in a goofy mood.
In an act of desperation, he offers to pay Seoyu to lie to his brother about the accident. You know, so he won't get obliterated.
Wait, so this kid didn't hear him say the creepy thing. He's just like, help me with my brother.
When I tell you he heard him and was just like, what? And then's like, wait, don't go. I need your help.
So he kind of threw it from his head because it's such a weird thing to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get that.
And more importantly, he's in crisis mode of my brother will, pull my insides.
He was just in an accident. Yeah, but
that's
fair.
The accident's also not that hard on his mind. He's more worried that his brother is going to pull his insides out through his anus and then.
I get that too, but your first accident as a kid sucks. I scratched my dad's car, and that was my first accident, and I went up to my room and hid because I was like, that didn't happen. I lied to myself so hard and got in so much trouble.
Mm-hmm. So we jump ahead to Seoyu's workday, which is technically almost nighttime. He, as usual, comes in, gets sexually harassed by his manager, and then has to work his ass off until late in the evening, alone in the office.
Okay, so that's his usual day.
Mm-hmm.
Is he getting sexually harassed because he's an Omega? Was that like the whole vibe? Is that Omegas are treated like pieces of meat?
Because we're through Seoyu's point of view, I cannot tell you for sure. I actually bet that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's more about him being vulnerable and less about him being an Omega.
Okay. And I was just wondering if that was because some Alpha Omega stories, really hit home how hard it is for the Omegas in these.
You are not wrong. This one's interesting because it's a little bit that, but a little bit something else.
A little bit something else.
Yes, yeah. Yes. So on top of, normal day being kind of miserable, he's now sick. Which, yeah, of course. Homie spent half the night in the rain, not dressed well. Of course he's sick. After his shift, he checks his phone, seeing a text from his only friend. Said friend, what is his name? Oh yeah, his only friend's name is Wanjo. Said friend is asking how the memorial service went and whether or not a certain someone went with Seoyu. So his friend is asking hey, how's the memorial service? And this should be your first clue that something has happened to somebody close to him. Because memorial service meaning honoring the dead.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And his friend's asking hey, did your boyfriend go with you to your memorial service this year?
Mm-hmm.
Which I would ask, how's memorial service? I don't think I would ask, did your boyfriend come necessarily? Maybe,
because I feel like if it's a big memorial service, not a new one, but a commemorative one. God, I can't say that word. But I feel like if it's one that you would maybe do to oh, I'm honoring my grandpa, so I'm visiting them again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you would bring a boyfriend and it would be like a, hey, you're not really meeting my parent, but you kind of are kind of thing.
Right.
So maybe that's why it was asked.
That's a fair thought to have. But
that's totally not it.
That's a good perspective. Well, as luck would have it, Seoyu and his boyfriend broke up before the service. It wasn't a bad relationship per se, but who he was with at the time was not an alpha. And it's kind of weird that his ex-boyfriend was so stoked to learn about Seoyu being an Omega. So he's not an alpha, but he was like, oh shit, you're an Omega? That's pretty cool.
Oh, so he's kind of being kinky about it.
Yeah, fetishy.
Yeah,
fetishizing.
Fetishy. Yeah, fetishy. Ooh.
But whatever, it is what it is. It's over. Though Soyu's bestie, Wanjo, seems happy that he's single once again.
Okay, yeah, nah, he's not asking out of like, oh, did you have a nice moment? He's asking because he's like, can I dick you down now?
God, I would almost feel better if that was the reason, but that's not it either.
Ew, God. I don't like it when it gets worse. And like, I already said a bad thing and it's just worse than that.
It's not worse than that. It's pettier than that.
Ugh.
There's less of a reason, I feel like. Because if you're into somebody and you're kind of like sniffing around, I feel like that's at least a reason. It's a shitty reason. It's gross.
Yeah.
But I can at least see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But this one, I don't see where he's coming from.
This one's just full petty.
Just stupid, yeah.
Wonderful.
Still, Wanjo cares for him and is offering to take him out to eat for free. So he'll catch up with him later, I'm sure.
He needs a better friend, I can already tell.
Yeah, if you're wondering what the fuck is going on at this point, we still got a ways to go because there's so much more to cover.
Oof.
Yeah. Seoyu returns to an empty house, remarking how it's too big and far too empty. Not like it used to be. He goes through his evening procedures, eating, brushing his teeth, etc., and settles on his bed, wondering what everyone else does in their time off from work.
Mm-hmm.
He gets an alert on his phone from an unknown number. The text is from one Sung-hoon Choi, the self-proclaimed older brother of the little brat he encountered the night before.
Oh, God.
Which reminds him of how much he's getting paid to do this. $6,000 fucking dollars. $6,000 just to lie to a man.
What's the lie?
He is going to lie about how the accident happened to get this kid off the hook.
I want to know what lie the kid fucking came up with, let me tell you.
Yeah, but he's going to get paid $3,000 up front, $3,000 when the lie is completed. Which, conveniently, $6,000 is how much it would cost for me to lie. So, if anyone's looking for me to do a lie, $6,000 up front, please.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'll lie for any old reason, honestly.
You gotta start monetizing it, dog.
True.
Now's the time.
You just want to be paid to lie because you can't lie. It's not a bad thing. You're just so cutely honest you can't deal.
You're being rude to me. Well, damn. $6,000? This should be easy. All he's gotta do is lie to him over the phone. And at this point in the comic, this, like, ends chapter 1, and then there's an intense, like, jump cut to, like, Seoyu and Mr. Choi about to get into it. They're about to fuck. Like, right at the end of chapter 1.
What the fuck?
You just jump forward, and you have that little moment of, like, I bet you're wondering how I got here. And then...
Why are they about to fuck?
And then chapter 2 then starts off with him being like, yeah, that was crazy, right? But I have to explain how we got there.
Yeah, why are you fucking?
Yeah, whole first chapter was like, depression, depression, depression. Money?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we fuck.
No, you said fucking. It doesn't sound like a maybe.
Yeah, so.
I mean, like, bless him. Did his fucking heat go off because he's so sad?
We'll get there. We're gonna get there.
Talk faster.
So, Seoyu responds to the text, saying that because of the hour, he'll call tomorrow, which is a normal thing to say. He gets a call immediately after sending, and is greeted with the voice of a man that could rearrange his insides. Sexually.
Alright. I want to know what that voice sounds like.
Enough to make him blush upon hearing it for the first time.
Wow. Why are you... Dude, why... Just let him sleep.
I mean, it's like 8:30 p.m. It's not that late. It's late enough.
Okay, but still.
I think it's late enough for you wouldn't call
you
somebody.
tomorrow, and then they immediately call you. That pissed me off.
Yeah. Great. Seoyu collects himself and jumps right into an obviously rehearsed spiel about how good of a kid the younger brother is and how he'll totally pay for the damages to the car, blah, 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 whatever. Sung-hoon Choi interrupts him, explaining that he wants to meet and discuss things. But why not over the phone?
Why?
This was supposed to be easy.
No! Lying in person is harder.
Mr. Choi's voice leaves no room for refusal, so Seoyu agrees to meet, but at a time and neighborhood of his choosing.
You're a whipped bitch. Refuse.
Yeah, because Mr. Choi's like, oh, can we meet here? And Seoyu's like, wait a fucking minute. I don't think you should be making decisions, and you're just acting like you can get whatever you want. Well, we're gonna do it, but on my terms.
Oh, God.
Like, how dare that man strong-arm him while sounding so sexy? This is his thought process.
Dude.
Still, since things have escalated, Seoyu gives the little brother, whose name is Sung-hun, but he gives him a call so they can tighten up their stories before tomorrow's meeting.
God.
The call connects, and he starts in about the meeting, but is met with silence. After a few more seconds of silence, he hears his name, but with the proper honorifics and
did he get caught in the lie?
And in a big, sexy voice.
Did he get caught in the lie away?
Sung-hoon Choi has his brother's phone and will be keeping it for the time being. But what did Seoyu want to talk to him about?
No! Holy shit! Holy shit! Did he give it away?
No, he didn't get caught. He literally just said, like, hey, your brother wants to meet me tomorrow, and then, wait, you're not saying anything, what is it? And then, big sexy voice.
I don't like that. I can't go to the meeting. Cancel. You can't go. You've embarrassed yourself twice.
But when he's asked, like, hey, what did you need to talk about? Oh, nothing. Never a thing. And then just, wow, this dude's fucking intense.
No.
Soyu's able to defuse the situation and luckily protect their scheme. And my note says, narrator, he did not, in fact, protect their scheme.
No, that would be so obvious now. I would assume this kid is my stupid brat brother's friend.
Well, no.
Gosh.
So, next day, same shit, same job, same workplace harassment. Only twist to his routine is the meeting that evening. Seoyu has been invited to a fancy-ass restaurant that he didn't even know existed. The type that's huge and littered with private rooms. He's led inside by a staff member and taken to a room. Seoyu then comes face to face with Sung-hoon Choi, a mountain of a man with a menacing aura and a scar across his cheek. A gangster. This man may actually be a gangster. Okay, cool.
Don't lie to a Yakuza, bro.
Let me show you.
Or a Korean mob boss. No, I see it. You just showed me the dude.
Yeah, this is when he was on the phone. It was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. Actually, I didn't want to call you about anything. See you tomorrow.
Holy shit.
And this is said manager who's always trying to harass him. Hand is here.
Ew, don't touch him.
Yeah. Hand on shoulder.
Yeah, that's so... Ew! Smack him. Ew.
Like, yeah, every part of his manager harassing him, if you are female-coded, female-aligned, or whatever, you know this guy, and you would throw him into the ocean.
You would throw him off a building into the ocean in front of a dumpster. Just yeet this man off the planet.
Yeah, and so then here's Sung-hoon.
Yeah, no. He's like some... Yeah, no, he's gotta be some Korean gangster. You're fucking dead, dude. Don't lie to him.
And then
And the brother is also big.
Yeah.
But he's clearly little. Oh my god.
The funniest thing is you don't know how young Sung-hoon is until you see his older brother. And then you're like, oh yeah, no, you're the small version. This comes extra large.
You're the little baby. I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah. So that's what we're working with.
Why is his eyes white?
He's mad. Yeah, he's throwing a tantrum.
This bratty child. Your brother should rip out your insides or your asshole.
But yeah, so this is what Seoyu comes face to face with. It's just this mountain of a man, hair slicked back, scar on his right cheek.
He looks like a gangster. He's a hot gangster, but like, Mama likes bad boys. But like, if Mama was a smart person, she'd avoid him.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, slicked back hair, scar on cheek, giant tailored business suit. He looks like a gangster. Yeah. Every part of you's thinking it's going to be a gangster. Yeah. Seoyu gulps and puts on the most charming smile he can and compliments Sang-hyun's brother for being so punctual. It's Sung-hyun. And he called him Sang-hyun.
Shit. This is not going well.
Sung-hyun, annoyed by the mispronunciation of his name, acts like the kid that he is and snaps at Seoyu, calling him annoying.
You're annoying.
Mr. Choi says his brother's full name with the tone.
Oh, shit. He middle named you.
Effectively shutting the kid up. It's crazy to be rude to a guest, especially one that's trying to save your ass. So as much as I'm like, you poor kid, he doesn't help himself.
No.
He consistently doesn't help himself.
So embarrassing.
Back to business. Mr. Choi kicks off their little meeting with a, like, I'm sure you know I wanted to see you. Yeah, you understand why you're here kind of thing, which to me would make me more nervous.
Nope.
See, yeah.
You keep that $6,000, bro. I need out of this deal.
But that's Seoyu's cue to deliver the lie with the appropriate theatrics. Sung-hyun didn't crash on purpose. He was just in a hurry to save a poor, suicidal Seoyu and accidentally swerved and hit the bridge railing. Which is crazy, because that is almost true.
That is almost true.
But Mr. Choi isn't having it.
Yeah. Mr. Choi is like, you're a liar.
His frown was already loud when Seoyu came in, and now it's getting louder and louder during the explanation. Seoyu's feeling pretty good about his performance, until Mr. Choi very flatly tells him to stop lying. Like, you really expect him to believe this shit? Seoyu counters with, well, yeah, he said you probably wouldn't trust him, he, but he, a stranger, wouldn't lie to Mr. Choi. Promise. But Mr. Choi knows his dumb little brother and asks directly how much Seoyu was paid. What? Money?
Me paid what?
Why on earth would I take a bribe? Never. And they go back and forth like this for a bit, neither willing to concede victory. Both saying like, hey, why are you lying? No, I would never do this. I'm not lying to you. Sung-hyun manages to stop them by questioning how Seoyu could be so rude to his big bro. Which is adorable. But also, Sung-hoon Choi started all of this. What? He came in rude first, and his little brother's like, how could you be rude to my big brother?
You're a dumb child. Just tell him to keep the $6,000. That's not worth trying to save his stupid little ass.
Yeah, I think I'd be over it too at this point. But I also don't have a job, so maybe I would deal with this.
Yeah.
Perspective. Still, Mr. Choi doesn't believe the story. He's having a hard time even believing that Seoyu was suicidal and says as much, peering intensely at Seoyu. But why else would a man be on the Mapo Bridge in the middle of the night? So I do want to say, we're going to get into a point where you are not going to like Mr. Choi a little bit. Just stay with me. He's going to be a little bit dodgy. I will get there. Seoyu reiterates that Sang-hyun is a hero and the only reason he's still here today, true, and completely cured him of his suicidality. Not true. And that's a little too much, riffing. Which, of course, Mr. Choi can't take seriously in the least. But he's got other shit to do, so he'll have to hash this out another time.
Well, why are we not going to like Mr. Choi? Because, I also get his frustration.
We're going to get there.
We're going to get there.
I just wanted...
You wanted to warn me?
Yeah, this is the start of things. Well, you'll get there. You'll see what I mean.
Okay. It's best to warn me, because otherwise I'll rant extra.
Uh-huh. Seoyu, possibly still trying to be polite, or maybe a little horny, tells Mr. Choi it's too bad he can't stay longer.
You're gonna get called a sex worker, aren't you?
So Mr. Choi, who was halfway to standing up, sits back down, saying he could stay a few more minutes.
What the fuck?
Like he had an alert on his phone, And he actually does have somewhere to be, but he's just like, okay, whatever you want.
Oh, I didn't expect him to sit back down. I just thought he was going to be rude to him.
Yeah, by the way, I know people are probably thinking, oh, this is like Sime top alpha mind games. It is absolutely not. He finds Seoyu cute and kind of charming.
What?
Day one.
Uh-huh. We don't know this yet, but I guess we find out later.
You kind of have an idea because he's very amused by the situation.
And you can tell?
You can, yeah, he's got a little bit of a smirk going on. Okay. But you can tell also from his little brother's reactions that something about this is weird. Okay. And this is not typical for him.
Okay, because, like, based off big, buff Scar Man, he looks stoic. He doesn't look like he'd give much away.
Yes, and so it gave just a little bit away. Like a little,
You're cute.
Mm-hmm. Seoyu encourages him to go since, he's so busy, and because he didn't expect to be taken so seriously. This guy who's making this whole experience more complicated than it needs to be has the audacity to be charming and look like that. How fucking dare.
He is handsome.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Choi does get up to leave, but he looks exquisite while doing it. Seoyu is captivated just by the way he puts on his overcoat and blatantly stares, a blush coloring his face.
Dude.
When caught...
Suck that drill back in when caught.
When caught, not that he was trying to hide it, by Mr. Choi, he matter-of-factly answers that Mr. Choi is incredibly well built, which is an extremely non-horny thing to say to someone that you're trying to settle a car accident with.
Does he get accused of staring? Is that why he's like, yes, I am?
Yeah, he's staring, and then it's like, oh, what are you looking at?
So he just blatantly is like, damn, your body, son.
Zero shame. Zero shame.
I like him.
Also, having been in that situation before, you don't know what you do. Do you remember the car accident I got during college?
Oh, yeah.
And then the dude invited me to his house.
Yeah.
And then I met like his uncle, and then I also got taken out for tacos. Yeah. And I thought we were discussing the accident.
Yeah, you were on a date. You didn't realize.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just thought, wow, I'm glad he's not mad. Whew.
Yeah.
Why is he paying for tacos? Because, yeah, I can't pay here with his coupon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dummy.
I'm
trying my best. Very cute moment, though.
Was it?
Could have been a meet cute if I wasn't already trying to wife you.
Could have been a meet cute if I'd understood that he was not angry with me. Mr. Choi doesn't seem fazed, just promises to call Seoyu later and walks out into the hallway.
He expects you to jerk off to his big, sexy voice.
He walks out in the hallway, and he's been greeted by a row of tough-looking suited men.
God.
Seoyu, like a normal person, thinks this is sus as fuck and only adds the gangster image Mr. Choi displays.
Yeah, he's a gangster.
Doesn't help that he thinks he overhears dispose of the body from a secretary-looking motherfucker.
Gangster.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're that hot, maybe it's okay.
Maybe smash, yeah.
Maybe smash.
He asks Young Hun if his brother is really for real a gang member. And Sung Yun's like, oh, no, of course not. He's in finance. And then in the same breath, ask how Seoyu can be so brave to give attitude when he very well could have died had there been a knife in the room.
Oh boy. This child is not comforting at all.
No, and then there's a reasonable follow-up question. An office worker would have killed me?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, says Young Hun. Office workers kill people just as much as gangsters.
No.
If you couldn't tell before, this young man is naive as fuck.
He's an idiot. Your big brother's a gangster and you don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Your big brother's a big gangster and you have no idea.
Just bless his heart, because he doesn't know what the fuck's going on at any time. Regardless of potential gang affiliation, Seoyu wants to know more, and pesters Young Hun for information. He's delighted to learn that Mr. Choi is only 30, and yet looks so seasoned, and hot, and capable, and hot, and mature, and fuckable. He only says the mature part out loud, of course, which sends Young Hun into another brat rage. How dare Seoyu say that his brother looks old? He gets mistaken for much younger if his hair's down. Which again, it's like, can you turn your Brocon down for 2 seconds? He means mature, positive. Mature, fuckable. But I don't think you know what that means yet.
No, this boy is a true child. This is very funny.
Yes. This, my esteemed guest, is what we call a brocon. And it's very charming to Seoyu. They both obviously love each other, and that's why Mr. Choi spent the evening mean-mugging at him and trying to figure out this whole accident situation. He's just concerned, and Mr. Choi's a great brother. Just like Seoyu's own older brother used to be. A bit later, Seoyu is invited to a fancy hotel, again, to meet with Mr. Choi and further discuss the accident. He's dressed in the finest clothes he has, to make a good impression.
And to get fucked on the
not
table.
At all for horny reasons. His underwear is nice too, though, so just in case.
Did he also clean that booty hole out? He's ready.
It implies he is clean from top to bottom.
Yep. Yeah. He's ready.
The hotel is littered with Mr. Choi's subordinates, which I feel like he should be concerned about, but whatever.
I'd be concerned about.
He's led to a private room by one of the gangster-adjacent dudes and is disappointed to see Seung-hun. For some reason, he thought the perpetrator of the accident wouldn't be there. Because dumb and horny.
Yeah. He doesn't want him to be there. He's just like, I wanna be with the other guy. I wanna flirt.
Mr. Choi asks him to sit so they can eat and talk, which they do very little of for an awkwardly long amount of time. It's mostly Seoyu trying his best to fill the silence, with neither one of them responding to him, so they're just eating and then saying nothing to him.
God. My price would be going up. We're at 10,000 now, kid.
When Mr. Choi's finally ready to say something, he comes right out the gate with the heavy-hitting questions. So you tried to kill yourself that night?
Well, yes, I did.
Yes, for the third time. And it's all thanks to Seung-hun, he says, incorrectly, for also the third time.
God.
Mr. Choi corrects him and then inquires if Seoyu knows his name. No, absolutely not. How could he remember it after hearing it once? It is written in his goddamn phone, but he's just... No, I don't know who you are. This gives a nice moment, though, because it serves to relax the room a bit, because Mr. Choi's asking him, what's my name? And Seoyu keeps spitting out different names that are nowhere near close to Sung-hyun. So just Sang-hun, Hoon-sung, Choi-sung?
So he's trying to remember Choi's name or the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't remember either of their names.
Yeah.
And it's bad.
And it charms them?
Oh, yeah.
Probably because they're rich.
Yeah, Mr. Choi's is like, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah, no, it'd be charming if you're rich and well-known and this dude just doesn't know who you are.
So Seung-hun is laughing his little ass off, but it also gives Mr. Choi and Seoyu a chance to properly introduce themselves. So they do a little business card exchange and all that.
He got your number.
Seoyu is shocked that this delicious hunk of a man is also an employee of a huge famous company and is unprepared for Mr. Choi's abrupt return to the subject at hand. Stop lying is what he's saying. Like, don't lie about what situation this is. Don't do it. Seoyu claps back saying that he was absolutely out there trying to die that night.
He really was, which is even funnier.
He's having to post up and defend his choice to do a suicide.
I was gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
I was gonna be a shoe floating in the water.
Mr. Choi plays CCTV footage in attack mode. CCTV footage is a powerful card that requires a player to pull public records from the bridge on the night of the incident, but allows the player to make a direct attack to the opponent's life points.
He has CCTV?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you better be charging $12,000.
Seoyu, fearing the loss of 3,000 life points, activates his trap card, Suicide Note. Suicide Note contains compounded depression and a timestamp, forcibly placing all opponents' cards in defense mode and draining their defense points to 0.
He has a suicide note on him?
Yeah, it's on his phone.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Like, I like the little pieces of humor that either you are working in here or the comic is working in here. I can't tell. I can't tell who's responsible. But, like, when the depression does come back to punch you, it punches you. Like, that's so tragic.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You think it's tragic. But it also shocks the shit out of Sung-hyun, who didn't actually think he was gonna jump. He didn't think that Seoyu was there to jump. He didn't even realize it was suicide. He just got spooked.
Is he gonna out himself? Is he gonna out this fucking...
He almost does out himself. He's like, you were gonna kill yourself? It's like, dog, come on.
Oh
Just shut your fucking mouth.
no. Oh man. Gosh.
Thankfully, this seems to finally convince Mr. Choi, and he apologizes for not believing Seoyu. Cool. Meeting's over then. He cha-chas real smooth out of the room, his little bro following behind, gesturing to Seoyu that he'll pay him soon.
God. All this for $6,000. It needs to be 12.
Later that evening, Seoyu's finally able to meet up with his friend for that free meal and soju. They riff at each other, kind of like old friends would, but when I tell you this is fucked up, it is. For the 5 minutes of screen time this fucker gets, Wonjo mostly talks shit about Seoyu, bringing up how he was alone again for the memorial ceremony and asking if he's out there slinging hole for somebody new.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the sort of shit that a close friend might jokingly say to you, but he's obviously got bad intentions.
Is he also an Omega, or is that...
He's a beta.
He's a beta?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I was like... I always try to justify shit until I know. So I was like, well, maybe he's another Omega, and he's, like, shitting on himself, technically, and has all these issues.
No, he's not self-hating.
No, he's just a prick.
Yeah, and, like...
There are so many just a prick answers, but I always try to, I guess... I don't want to assume, so I'm always trying to, like, play devil's advocate, I guess.
Well, and, like, I have friends that I'd be like, oh my god, you slut, what did you do last night? But we're tight. Yeah. And that's what we're saying to each other, and it's respectful, and I really do care about them. That's not what this is.
Yeah, holy crap.
This is not, girl, you gotta tighten that up. You just be putting it everywhere. It's not funny. It's really what he means. But he's trying to play it off as, like, friendly or whatever.
Gosh.
Still, Seoyu does spill the deets on his crush on Mr. Choi, though he's 1,000% certain nothing's going to come of it. A rich, dominant alpha is not going to smash with him, no matter how much he wants to. Because, an aside, we're dealing with Korean ABO, and I know that there's different levels depending on what culture you're kind of pulling your ABO from, whether it's old school like American, or new school American, or Japanese-inspired, Korean-inspired. But I find that a lot of Korean comics break down ABO further into a genetic thing, so that you will have dominant and recessive. And then sometimes they'll pull like extremely dominant and extremely recessive. So in this story, Seoyu is aware that Mr. Choi is a dominant alpha and Seoyu is an extremely recessive omega. So he's just barely on the butthole lubricating scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Mr. Choi's like, he's king of the pack. He's top alpha.
Yes, that's all he knows right now. He doesn't know for sure what his
I've read dominant recessive alpha omegas before. I actually prefer that because, like, I just feel like if we do weirdly in the future had genetic mutations where everyone had a secondary gender, that's how it would work.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It puts a little more science to it for biting the neck of somebody that you're really into. That's usually what Koreans seem to be doing, and so that's what we're working with here. Dominant alpha is what, Mr. Choi is. So this is also kind of why Seoyu thinks that they never have a chance together, is because he's extremely recessive omega, and so that means different things for him physically and romantically than it would for a dominant omega or a slightly recessive omega. Mm-hmm. So that's where his mind is. That's where the ABO class stuff comes in a little bit for him. He is explaining to Wonjo, it's never going to happen, don't worry about the crush, whatever. Then his phone rings, thankfully putting an end to this shit-ass conversation.
Yeah, and no wonder you're sad. This is awful that he's just got this terrible person in his corner.
Well, phone rings, and it's the baby bro, with a new time and meeting place so that he can finish paying Seoyu. Yippee! We're getting money! So Seoyu arrives early to the meeting location the next day, because he's stoked. $3,000 is double his monthly salary, and he gets it for accidentally not killing himself. That is a win-win if I ever saw one.
Yeah, maybe you should live a little longer.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Seung-hyun arrives and gives Seoyu a watch? No envelope with cash.
Did you steal it, boy?
No envelope with cash, just a watch. Seoyu is rightly confused and angry. Seung-hyun proudly explains that this is all he had since his brother cut up all of his credit cards. Basically, he is congratulated for doing a good deed, but still in trouble for driving at all, so no more access to cash without his big bro's permission. Of course, this means nothing to Seoyu. Seung-hyun assures him that the watch has significantly more value, averaging around $10,000.
Yeah, but how's he gonna sell it?
Easy.
Really?
Oh, the watch market is a hot situation. Same thing with the shoe market. You can sell that shit fast.
Okay.
And it's inferred that
though.
Yeah, it's inferred too that this is like a Rolex.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so, it really
I guess if he has the box and everything, then it's fine. But my ass is just sitting here thinking, like, that's a lot of hassle.
There's also a really big luxury market in Korea, so I do think he'd be able to sell it pretty quick.
It's probably easier there.
Yeah. Seoyu accepts, and with that, they can finally put this whole debacle behind them. Seung-hyun gets up to leave and asks him to wait a few minutes while he leaves with his bodyguards, which is just a thing that you can say casually. Bye, I'll see you later. I gotta go with my bodyguards. Says a kid who has tried to infer to him that we're not gangsters. My brother's not a gangster. I'm not a gangster. But I just have bodyguards.
He's a gangster. They're rich or they're gangsters or both. Like, my brain is like, dude, I'd be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I would have given up on this whole shebang.
You wouldn't be here.
No, but when you are depressed and in that headspace, you do weird shit.
Still, Seoyu doesn't mind. He's enamored with his brand new $10,000 watch. He puts it on and just admires it, so he's totally unprepared for the shit brick house that is Sung-hyun Choi to enter the room. Mr. Thickums sits down across from Seoyu.
Why is Mr. Thickums here?
Letting him know that this meeting is not a coincidence.
Sorry, I tuned out because I was still thinking about this fucking watch, and then it just hit me. He's here too. No. Bro!
And here's where he shows his whole ass for a bit. He sees the watch, which confirms, at least for him, that this whole situation was just about money. That Seoyu was just willing to do whatever for money, and that he doesn't even seem suicidal. Which is not a thing you say to a person, but bear with him. Because from his point of view, he does think his brother is like scammed him and that Seoyu's scamming him. And so he is saying, like, you don't look suicidal, you don't seem suicidal, what the fuck?
Well, like, again, I know you're like, you suck, Mr. Choi, but I'm totally understanding his perspective because, like, no father's been brought up. So I'm assuming this older brother takes care of this kid, at least to the point where he's serving as, like, a father figure. And he knows his brother. He's probably known his brother to act up before. I'm also suspicious. So, like, if he's saying some kind of off-color shit, I actually get it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you think there's this dude that's scamming and, like, all this other stuff. It's stupid.
Yeah, so there's an explanation for it. It's some stuff that hits really hard when you were viewing this from Seoyu's point of view, though.
Yeah.
So, And there is a dad.
There is a dad, okay.
It's just, Big Bro, for some reason, was the one that Seung-hyun was more concerned about. His father, he was not that worried about, but he's like, my brother's gonna destroy me.
I wonder who father is. Like,
you'll see him too.
Father's just a sweet, like, I'm Santa Claus, and I don't care if you break your car.
No, he's special in his own way. You'll see him too.
All right.
Seoyu's annoyance bubbles up and becomes full anger as he spills his guts about what happened, what actually drew him to be on the bridge that night. His parents died in an accident, their car driven off of that very bridge. His brother survived for a week longer, but then died as well, inferring to the reader that his brother helped push him to the surface so he'd live, in turn assuring his own death. Yeah, so they were all in a family car accident. Parents died probably almost instantly. His brother pushed him out of the car to get to safety. By the time that they're pulled out of the river, his brother is too sick.
Yeah.
And is in a coma for a week, passes away, and then that just leaves him as a sole survivor of a terrible accident. They do mention later on But the reason why there's such big guardrails on the bridge is because of his family's accident.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. And so that's why he wanted to off himself. He wanted to die on the anniversary of his brother's death. Mr. Choi has the decency to look somber and to relax his speech from the accusatory tone he'd used prior. He still presses for information, but it feels more curious and less investigative.
I don't trust Mr. Choi. He's like a narc or something. He just feels like a cop.
He was a gangster a second ago, now he's a cop?
Like...
He's a gangster cop?
Yeah. Like, I feel like if you're a gangster, sometimes you have to do a little bit of investigative work, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, Batman's asking where are the drugs, but you, the drug dealer, are asking, hey, what did you cut with the drugs? You know? So there's investigation involved. It's important to know what your drugs are cut with.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Choi's asking, why now? Why this year, not the other years? Seoyu didn't want to live to be older than his brother. He feels that he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
This admission leads to a weird exchange where Mr. Choi seems to find Seoyu, like, amusing and interesting. Like, yeah, he just dumped some traumatizing details about his life, but damn is he charming.
You are so weird. Mr. Choi's fucking weird. Like, Mr. Depressy, because I can't remember his name. Mr. Depressy can find Mr. Choi hot. But Mr. Choi, you got like a weird suicide... Oh, it's his goth girl. Mr. Choi has met his goth girl.
Big titty goth girl, yeah.
Yeah, he's met his big titty, sad goth girl. Okay. I'll shut up. That's what's happening.
Mr. Choi reiterates that Seoyu doesn't seem suicidal and asks again if he's still feeling jumpy. Seoyu explains what we're all thinking at this point, that depression doesn't have a look, and his actions and demeanor have no bearing on his internal suffering. He says it less eloquently than that, but Mr. Choi doesn't deserve eloquence right now.
I hope he tells him he's a cunt, and I can be sad if I want. I don't know.
The whole exchange has left Seoyu emotionally exhausted. He's essentially had his trauma poked out and examined for days, and so soon after the last memorial. He lays out the facts. He tried to die, he still wants to die, and Seung-hun did save him. End of story. Here's the fucking watch back. Let's be done with all this. Mr. Choi frowns slightly, then requests that Seoyu keep the watch, as an apology.
No, throw the watch at his head. I'm so annoyed with Mr. Choi now.
I told you.
It did happen, but, like, I also still get his perspective. But, like, I definitely get, let's end this fucking thing. Just throw the watch at his head and go home.
Mm-hmm. They leave after that. Seoyu's unfortunately still thirsty for this asshole's body.
Well, yeah, you can be hot.
Yeah. He coughs a bit as they part, eliciting some concern and politeness from Mr. Choi. But Seoyu's not stupid. This should be the last time they meet, and he's not taking handouts from a guy who just stomped all over his trauma, even if he is sexy as fuck. So Seoyu hops into a taxi and settles in, ready to rest and reevaluate his life. Since he missed his window, maybe killing himself really is off the table. Maybe it's time to focus on snagging a rich alpha and starting a family. You know, the dream. Before he can finish his thoughts, his phone rings. It's his uncle, another man that I would like to push into the sea.
This sucks. I know it happens, but it always makes me sad to think about how many, like, really depressed people are surrounded by, like, really awful people.
Yeah, people who are willing to take advantage of them and how bad they're feeling.
Yeah, because there are people who are good to be around when you're depressed, or, like, if you have someone. Like, it's just, like, sometimes you have that, sometimes you don't. And I'm always, like, sad to hear when someone doesn't. Fake character, real character. It's always just like, damn, I just wish this was a little different for you.
Yeah. So the uncle has an offer for Seoyu. Meet up with a wealthy, recently divorced, middle-aged alpha, and if he plays his cards right, maybe they can get married. It's fucked, but Seoyu's gonna do it, since his pickings are slim, and there's a chance he might meet the right guy.
So he's just gonna do what his uncle says?
He is going to do what his uncle says, and he has been doing this for a period of time. Whereas uncle...
Is he, like, being sold by his uncle?
No, I don't know what his uncle... So his uncle doesn't seem to get anything out of it. What I do believe it is, because they don't explain this in detail, what I do believe it is that this uncle was Seoyu's dad's brother, and so he should be responsible socially to make sure that Seoyu is taken care of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if Seoyu is married and with a new family, then the uncle's responsibility ends. And then that also puts Seoyu in a position where when the uncle is nearing the end of his life, if he has no children, that Seoyu will take care of him, right? Okay. So it's more, I think, a societal, social, like, expectation that he's trying to fulfill, but he is being an asshole about it.
That sucks.
And so I think he's not even getting money or kickbacks from it. I think he's getting like social boost. Mm-hmm. Like, my neighborhood's going to think I'm cool if my, nephews, blah, blah, blah. Or like, I'll get a lot of appreciation and they'll be like, oh, what a cool, that I think that's all that's driving this. And it's not money, which on the one hand, I'm like, cool, it's not money.
Yeah.
But also, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, this is so, like, people do this though. And it's so
exactly. And so that's what his uncle's been doing to him for years at this point.
God.
And Seoyu is just going along with it because he's like, oh, well, I mean, what other options do I have? So, of course, because he coughed once earlier and looked like he had the slightest bit of a fever, we know this means heat.
Oh, so he's going to be in his heat.
Yeah, in AVO stories, this is going to be heat. So by the time he actually gets home, he is pretty certain that he's started his heat. And he does think, oh, man, it seems early.
Well, yeah, you just got upset and riled up, so...
In front of two alphas.
The brother.
For the last several days.
Right, because the brother is also an
Yes,
alpha.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, this makes sense. This poor dude.
Before he can settle in and get comfortable and take care of his heat, he gets a frantic call from Seung-hun requesting him to bring the fucking watch back.
You fucking idiot, what did you do?
It was actually a gift from his mom, and his dad wants it back so he can feel closer to her.
Is his mom dead?
Wait. Seoyu's like, oh, fine, okay. He can't deny a grieving husband something so precious. This is wrong. It is not what he thinks.
So she's not dead?
No.
What did you give? What? Did he steal his dad's watch?
No, it is Seung-hun's watch, but his dad wants it. Because it was... Mom gave it to him and his dad wants his mom's items for some reason. I'll explain later.
You better.
Yeah. So the next day, he's invited to another ritzy location, this time a completely different hotel. He's escorted by a suited man with sunglasses, past a gaggle of other similarly dressed men. It doesn't take a genius to know that he's probably not meeting Seung-hun, but rather his older brother. But Seoyu's just like, not focusing. He's like, some of these guys look familiar. What am I going to do about it?
The older brother?
Great question. Why is he meeting the older brother instead of the younger one?
I'm so tired. This whole situation's no longer worth $6K. It's $20K. This watch doesn't even cover it anymore.
So we're clear, when he got off the phone with Seung-hun this last time about please bring their watch back, Seung-hun on his side is like, wow, he agreed to meet me really easily. I thought that would be harder.
Uh-huh.
Even though...
So?
I want you to think, why would the younger brother be like, wow, he agreed to meet me over something kind of dumb. That was easier than I thought.
Is he trying to trap them into dating? What's happening?
Even though he knows it's coming, he's still taken aback by the beauty of Mr. Choi. And goddamn, his heat cycle's not making things any easier.
Why is Mr. Choi here? Why you gotta deal with this? Minus a point. I'm annoyed.
Stop. Don't hit me.
I'm hitting you with Hangyodon. He's very soft.
Don't do it. They have a little moment where Seoyu incorrectly believes he's being spoken to, when in actuality, Mr. Choi's on his Bluetooth, chatting it up with a business partner. But his embarrassment is cute in Mr. Choi's eyes. I would have passed away.
I'm so embarrassed for this man. Like, I know I've been shouting about how embarrassed I've been. We've now gone beyond the point where now I'm quiet because I'm so embarrassed my soul's left my body.
Hold my little hand.
I can't even do that. I'm so weak.
Mr. Choi exchanges the watch with an envelope full of gift cards, courtesy of Seung-hun, then unceremoniously tosses the watch to the side. Like it's not a big deal that he has it. This is when Seoyu finds out that their mother is not dead. Choi Sr. is just a giant fucking simp. Because their mom is on a vacation with some of her friends from college, and their dad is like, I need the remnants of her because I miss her. Where is my wife?
Pause. My anger climbed all the way fucking up. I have pressure behind my eyeballs. I'm so mad.
Yeah.
This man's on his heat.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to deal with this fucking malarkey.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Another huge embarrassment in such a short time. And Mr. Choi's fucking laughing at him.
Why is Mr. Choi laughing at him?
He finds this funny and charming.
What's he laughing about? I'm confused. You lost me.
So
I was stewing in the simp. What is happening?
So you was just like, hey, I'm sorry about your mom, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nah, my dad's just,
worse.
being
so
a
he
simp.
said it out loud. I thought he just realized it somehow.
No, he's just like, I'm sorry about your mom. And he's like, nah, it's fine. My mom's good. My dad's just a big baby.
Oh my God.
And so he's like, I'm so sorry and I'm so embarrassed. And Mr. Choi's like, and Mr. Choi's just like, chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. It's fine.
Oh no, that sucks.
And so you just like, well, you are hot.
Leave. Stop being horny. Leave. Sucks.
Mr. Choi offers him food and a special bottle of wine so they can hang out for the evening.
Why?
Well, it should be coming clear to you that all these extra meetings are a ruse. This is a ruse.
Why?
Seoyu is falling victim to a ruse.
Why are you rusing?
Mr. Choi's been interested in him.
The whole time.
Yeah, I told you.
From day one.
I told you, meeting one, he had a little like, And
that fast?
Yeah. He's interested. And there's a reason why it's big deal that he's interested, and I will get into that as well. But yeah, so him getting his brother to be like, hey, go tell him about the watch. He's asking his brother to help him out.
His brother to do it.
Uh-huh. And his little brother's like, I'll do whatever you want.
Has he even connected why?
No. Seung-hun's just like, okay, big bro, I'll do it. I have no idea why, though.
Oh my God. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. Are you done telling me about this exhausting story?
No. So they drink together, with a smitten Seoyu telling himself not to get so drunk that he blacks out. Just in case they smash. Which means, of course...
Did he bring up smashing for real?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He didn't bring it up. He's hyping himself up.
Okay.
He's going over the game plan in his own brain.
Oh, okay.
Which, of course, means that he gets so drunk that his attempts at flirting turn into lamenting his loneliness and his lack of a family.
Holy shit, he gets really drunk and he says all this shit out loud.
Yeah, he's like, you're single, me too. And then it's like, actually, I'm completely alone and I miss my family and I wish I had somebody with me, blah, blah, blah.
This sucks. I'm so embarrassed.
Mr. Choi puts a gentle but heavy hand on Seoyu's shoulder to shake him out of his drunken stupor.
Don't touch him.
Seoyu...
You're gonna get all heat and hot and fuck.
Seoyu leans in, turning the shake into more of a caress, nuzzling into the large hand.
Oh, Jesus.
Damn, this is comforting. But he's so sad. He throws up into Mr. Choi's hand.
No! He throws up? No. Pause. We have to actually take a break. I'm so embarrassed. Oh. I want to go back to the other comic you told me about. The dreaming one, when dreams may come.
Wasn't that such a nice time? Well, Mr. Choi's mentally stronger than I am, and despite the vom, takes Seoyu upstairs to a room, cleans him up, and tucks him into bed. Seoyu, whose horniness has been escalated by both his heat and the alcohol in his system, releases his pheromones and comes on to Mr. Choi.
No.
So just grabs,
He threw up on this man.
Yeah, threw up on him. They got cleaned up. And then as he's being tucked into bed, grabs onto the hem of his shirt and is like, wait, here's my pheromones.
This sucks.
Big Man has a decency to refuse him once because drunk, But pheromones are a hell of a drug, quite literally.
Yeah. So he can't refuse him a second time, right?
Mm-hmm. So they bang.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So they bang for a good chunk of the night. Not that Seoyu remembers most of it. What he does seem to remember is him moaning and screaming and struggling to adjust to Mr. Choi's massive dong. And then he's got nothing.
I need like hard alcohol.
And of course, he remembers in full clarity the puking.
Yeah. I would never forget that I threw up on that man. God.
So what's a guy to do in a situation this painfully embarrassing? Run. So he wakes up in this bed in this beautiful place and then finds his clean clothes and then tries to book it.
Is the guy in bed still?
No, he doesn't know where he is. He's like, cool, great, I'm in a good situation.
I mean, if the dude's not in the room, I would try to book it too.
Yeah, so he runs outside of the room, right into a set of bodyguards. He comes up with a lie in order to get past them and then sprints downstairs out the lobby into the road, where he hails a taxi and speeds off.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, because even that, what he tells the bodyguards, when he talks to them, they're like, where are you going? We were told that you guys weren't going to be out of there for another 12 hours. And he's like, oh, well, I need to go pick up some condoms. But there's plenty of condoms in the room.
No, you say that to these grown men?
Well, we gotta get some toys, you know? I'm pretty sure there's plenty of toys in the room.
No, it just keeps going on.
And so he's like, nah, we're playing a game, gotta go. Bye.
Gotta go, bye.
Yeah.
No.
What a wild couple of weeks he's had. A failed suicide attempt, meeting a young alpha, and getting caught up in his scheme, then meeting his hunk of an older brother, and somehow getting the opportunity to get plowed by him. That's probably the most interesting his life's gonna get, but thankfully it's over. And we know it's fucking not. And the rest of the comic continues from there.
Freaking insane.
Yeah. Like, we meet one of his ex-boyfriends later. We get to meet this other Omega that has, like, some weird thing going on with Seoyu as well. We get to meet his uncle towards the end of the comic. Mm-hmm. And
he's a piece of shit, right?
He is a piece of shit. But he gets the pants scared off of him.
Good.
By Sung-Hyun Choi. So, like, this is a comic that does end well. It just, you have to slog through a lot of bullshit before you get there.
Is the solution dealing with the depression too? Like, they do, like, at least acknowledging it or starting to work with it?
Yes. You don't just, like, this really does focus a lot on Seoyu's mental health and his own, like, internal issues. They don't just say, like, oh, well, he was depressed the one time and then move on from it. They go into more detail with it for sure.
Yeah. Because, like, again, I understand Mr. Choi being like, nah, I don't believe it. But, like, it is important that he does come to believe it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's important. Mm-hmm. So, he does come to believe it eventually? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because that's got to be important. Like, when someone's depressed and they tell you, I understand the denial, but you do eventually gotta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all of that craziness, and it still goes other places. But then we do kind of reach, like, the comic does eventually reach, like, kind of a stabilization point where things are going in a specific direction, and it's not just this. Like, you spend a lot of time with Seoyu and Sung-Hyun Choi actually seeing how their relationship plays out, and they have all these nice little moments together. So you're not just stuck in, like, depressy land. You just get kind of nudges towards it, and kind of get reminded just because Seoyu's mindset is so wonky at the time. Mm-hmm. So that's what you can look forward to, I guess. But let's take a look at some of the character profiles, like talk about them a little bit, and then we will get to talking more about the story a little bit afterwards. So we have Seoyu, which they don't give him a last name, and you find out by context clues later that his last name is Yu. So his first name is Seo, and his last name is Yu. But because they're both really short names, they just kind of slam them together. So he goes by his full name. And, like, that's not uncommon in Korea. Unless you know somebody really well, you normally do say their first and last name together. Like, you say their whole name at all times. But his is just written as one word, too. So I kept thinking, is he got a last name? Then no, wait, it's right there. So that, not something I was prepared for. But Seoyu is 27 at the start of the comic. And he's an extremely recessive Omega with big depressing. He is likened to a fox, and he does have a pretty sharp tongue and can be a bit rude when necessary, but is also quite prideful. He's the type to post anything good that happens to him on social media as a not-so-subtle brag. Seoyu is also the sort of person who he keeps all of his exes in his phone.
No.
And, like, it's such a depression thought, like, well, we broke up, but it's not their fault. And so he keeps all his exes in his phone, and so they will see all of his updates that he has as he's getting into a new relationship. So if he's like, oh, so Sung-hoon Choi brought me flowers, and then they're all like, oh, he brought you flowers, remember when I brought you flowers? Like, so he's like bragging to his exes, and I'm like, but you should brag to your exes, because your exes fucking suck, dude.
Wait, so he still talks to his exes too?
He doesn't talk to them, but he just keeps them in his phone. So, like, he won't respond to their texts and stuff either, where they text him all the time.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, but, like, it's like he thinks he deserves to be
miserable.
Yeah, like fetishized and stuff by these people.
He's very hard depressy right now.
Yeah, so like that's what's going on. He lost his whole family in an accident and has essentially disassociated his way through the last 10 years of his life because they died when he was like 17.
Mm-hmm.
He has a habit of mixing up words, and he can't remember names for shit. So at one point, he mixes up orgasm with adrenaline. Like, he means to say the hormone that your body produces in, like, extreme sports situations, but he's like, yeah, the orgasm hormone, and it's like, that's not what he meant.
Boy.
Excuse me. Another time he says cyanide when he means spicy pepper.
I've actually heard people mixing that up.
Right, and I also know that like the Korean terms for this sound closer to each other, and that's why he's saying them. But yeah, he said something else about like he made some comment about like, oh, what if I just die? But he meant to say something else in the place of die, and it got mixed up. So I'm like, girl, please.
Yeah. Most
of the people he spends time with suck, but there are others that actually do care about him. But he doesn't realize that at the beginning. Like what we know about his office is that his manager harasses him. But his other coworkers like him just fine, but he doesn't focus on that. He's also, of course, smitten with Sung-hoon Choi on sight.
Yep.
Sung-hoon Choi, he's got a trust fund in finance, 6'5",
that's
dark
a
eyes.
ridiculous height. 6'5".
Yeah.
Jesus, that's a romance anime height.
Yeah. And he's an extremely dominant alpha. Homie's huge and has an equally huge back tattoo, but he claims he has a regular finance job.
That's a lie.
He's very serious and no nonsense, but also has less emotional intelligence than a hermit crab.
Shit.
Because hermit crabs will at least meet up to trade shells. I don't think he'd know to do that. He tends to say things bluntly, which has never given him trouble until Seoyu. He lived away from his equally awkward family from his late teen years onward. Because they said, like, since he is an extremely dominant alpha, he could cause problems for his other family members if they're also alphas, that sort of thing. So he moved out. Despite his roughness, he's a green flag as far as partners go, even appropriately managing his jealousy. So he gets very jealous, but he actually, like...
manages it.
Yeah, he manages it. He doesn't attack other people. He tries to, like, talk through it and stuff like that. And he does, of course, have, like, a big shift in his behavior around mental illness as the comic continues on as well.
Good.
He's captivated by Seoyu on first sight and couldn't give two rotten shits about ABO hierarchy.
Oh, so it's not because he's an Omega. He's just like, I want to bang this man.
Yeah, like the Omega thing is probably the last on his mind, honestly. He doesn't bring it up at any point outside of like, oh, can you get pregnant or not, or do you want a family? That's the only time it comes to his brain. He doesn't care. So while Seoyu is worried about like, well, I'm extremely recessive, Sung-hoon Choi's like, hey, has that ever mattered? Can my dick go in your hole? Then
he's like, dude, if you were a beta or an alpha, I'd still tap that.
Pretty much, yeah. Sung-hoon Choi is our little baby naive brat with a huge brother complex. He is Sung-hoon's younger brother and somehow more socially awkward. He doesn't seem to have any friends, nor does he know how to make any, but he's not a bad kid. He definitely wants to be a big boy as soon as possible. He's total simp for his brother, and he's happy to just be punished by him. He's a good friend of Seoyu, despite his inability to read the room. And he does become tighter with Seoyu over time, though he does say things like, hey, did you have sex with my brother last night?
God.
And it's like, girl, do you need to know that? Oh, I was just curious. And it's like, please.
No, bro.
Please. But he's cute in his own way. He just talks before he thinks. Then we have Wanjo, Seoyu's only friend. They apparently go back a long ways. But I want to push him. Yeah, I want to push him into the ocean. He really just wants someone to be more miserable than him at all times.
So he's just like miserable, and he wants to know someone worse off than him.
Yeah, he wants Seoyu to be worse off than he is.
Well, fix yourself, dumbass.
Not interested.
Loser.
Yeah, that legitimately is. He's just.
I have seen this type of characters in stories, though. There's a very good horror comic that has this type of character in it, and like, fucking hate that guy, but he's a great like villain in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like he became a villain because he was victimized. You hurt me and my family, so that's why I continue to hurt others. And it's like, you were given so many opportunities to get better, and you still have the resources to get better at any time, right?
Yep.
At any moment he could get better, and he just won't. Hate the character, but I also like love that it's just, you're just fucking lazy, dude. You could fix your problems. So this guy could just fix his problems.
Yeah, oh yeah, he just start doing something different anytime.
Anytime.
Yep.
Just stop getting off on someone being miserable, you dumbass.
Because he continues to ask him some out-of-pocket questions over the rest of the comic, and keeps telling him, this guy's not interested in you, he's just playing with you.
Do we get rid of him?
He just kind of fizzles out into the wasteland. I wish there's more closure for that, but essentially, we don't see him again after a certain point, and Sung-hoon Choi does tell like the main character, like, I don't like that dude. Like, I'm not going to tell you who to be friends with, but I don't care for him.
Good. Get rid of him.
Yeah. A character I didn't talk about earlier, but does play a role in this, is Ho-in Park. He owns the cafe near Soyu's workplace, and he is a dominant Omega with a fairly obvious crush on Seoyu. But it's not something that Seoyu notices at all until a very, very long time into the comic.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only other friend Seoyu gets, and he's got an agenda, obviously. He's not a bad person, but he's working through some shit. And I do wish that he got more closure than he actually does, because he plays a decent role, but like, I think he needed more time.
Yeah, so there's just like some side characters in here who maybe didn't get as much polish as we would want.
Yes, yeah. And then we have Mama Choi. She also lacks tact, so it kind of helps explain why both of her sons are just kind of... They're just wildin', yeah. She's the best out of her family as far as knowing how to people, and has a large friend circle, but she's still pretty rough around the edges. She's also the one that wears the pants in the family.
Hell yeah.
Papa Choi is a giant of a man with a crybaby attitude. He's a huge simp for his wife, but can be pretty standoffish and tactless to anyone outside of the family. He's overprotective of his sons and his wife, but is definitely the submissive one. We also have Seoyu's uncle, another person who we won't miss. Motherfucker's out here disrespecting his brother's legacy by trying to pimp out his nephew. He says he means well, but the ocean is ready to take him.
Go die in the ocean. There's a lot of people here who can go live in the ocean and die there.
Yes, there are...
Join the whale carcasses at the bottom of the sea. Feed the ecosystem.
There's so many characters that I want to go into the ocean in this comic. Like, and thankfully, because Sung-hoon Choi is like big gangster man, some of these people disappear. Good. Not murdered, but they like leave town forever kind of thing.
We'll see.
There's maybe a little murder as a treat, but mostly they just leave town forever, that thing or whatever. So this is an interesting comic, but because like on the one hand, I think it has unique qualities about it, like sticking with the mental health issues instead of ditching them immediately after like the meet cute. But I also think it's pretty cliche in other ways, because you have the big bad rich alpha male that can do anything. But it's a real mixed bag that I don't think is bad by any means. But there are a couple of areas I wish that like a little more polished, a little more tightened up. I read a comment during this read through that described this as a perfect entry for a newer boy love and ABO fan, but it wasn't as satisfying to experience Fujoshi, and I can kind of agree with that. Like sometimes the humor doesn't land quite right, and there's some loose ends that I wish had been tied up, either in the bulk of the story or in the extras. Also, like, there's no baby. I don't need a baby in every ABO, but if it's a big part of the story, I want a fucking baby, and they did not give me a baby.
You don't get a baby?
No. Like, for as much time as the potential of a baby takes up in this, they did not give it to me.
Not a baby.
And all they did, the only time they give it to you is on the final cover, art, they show you the baby in a onesie from behind. So then we get to see its fucking face. I know.
Shows the baby. That's cheating.
Yeah, if your ABO is going to put forth, hey, what if we have a baby? You better fucking show it to me. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying. That being said, I do think this one is still worth reading, and I do actually like it. So let's actually get into why. Major themes include growth, especially growing together, which is always a banger for me, and resilience. Growth is pretty obvious since Seoyu has to literally work through his grief and rediscover himself as a complete person, and Sung-hoon has to learn how to be in love and care for another person. Because that's his big thing in this story is he's never dated anybody. Mm-hmm. He has never been interested in anyone, never had a crush on someone. He has maybe had flings, but this is his first time actually loving another person. And so he's having to learn how to do that.
Okay.
But the characters around them grow, too. Sung-hyun's still young and finally has someone other than his family to help guide him to be a more regular kid. He's accidentally using Seoyu to practice how to interact with others, but it's in an inoffensive way. Ho-in, though rarely seen, learns to work through his own complicated feelings about his lot in life, like as being an omega, as being, part of the society, that sort of thing. And Seoyu's uncle learns the meaning of fuck around and find out.
Yikes.
Resilience, however, is the more important through thread. Seoyu's resilience should be noted, because having that amount of trauma in your life is enough to bring anyone to their knees. But he's living the best that he can, has a job, has most of his coworkers respect, and keeps himself and his home neat. That's a feat when shit in your life is just that bad. But Sung-hoon has his own type of resilience that mostly shows up towards the end of the comic. The resilience and the patience of helping someone you really love just rediscover their worth and learn to trust and your love for them. It's something that takes a long time and can be painful, but he sticks with it. Because it's tough to fight depression from the outside. Mm-hmm. The portrayal of depression and grief is the real shining light in the story. Seoyu obviously is dealing with suicidal ideation, considering how the story starts, but learning how he got there and how fucked up his worldview is gives a more complete picture than we're normally served in Boy Loves. The attempted bridge jump is not just an afterthought, because Seoyu is surrounded by misery. He's having to contend with his twisted web of grief and guilt and loneliness inside of himself and the tomfoolishness that surrounds him. And he just doesn't fight it. Like, people treat him like shit, his boss harasses him on the daily, and he does little to nothing to stop it. His best friend is an asshole, is actively wishing for his downfall, but Seoyu believes that this is the best that he deserves.
That sucks.
This is not a comic where someone is just unreasonably unfortunate and undeserving of it. This is what being this depressed can really be like. It changes your brain chemistry, making you believe that you deserve less, encouraging you to make bad decisions and push people away. It leaves you exhausted and in pain so that you never really know peace and are too weak to fight when things get worse. And Seoyu is a poster child for this. His choice to meet up with unsavory older men seems like something he can just not do, but in his misery-addled mind, it's the easiest and only way he can possibly achieve something approaching happiness.
Because, his whole thought process with meeting up with older men is maybe I'll like one and I'll marry one.
Yeah, he doesn't really think that he deserves happiness, so he's kind of figuring out a way to sneak it in. And then he can't really hope for more because that's selfish and maybe stealing it from someone more deserving than himself. Mm-hmm. And then he just really doesn't have the energy to try harder. None of this is logical, but when you're in depression hole, this is the logic you have to work with. You feel worthless, and everyone who confirms that worthlessness is not the enemy, but a soothsayer and worthy of your respect.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. Not crazy. It sounds messed up. You're saying that he's meeting up with these older men, and my brain is immediately still are you sure the uncle's not selling him? Mm-hmm. So he's just he's probably getting some sort of monetary thing out of this from others.
And we don't know for sure.
Like,
and
it just feels so inappropriate.
Yeah, and that's even one of the reasons why I wish they went a little bit deeper, because there's some stuff that's not cleared up. There's some stuff that about the relationship, or not relationship, but the situation he has with him and his manager is not fully cleared up. And so I wish these things were tightened up to give a clearer picture. But they're just kind of like, oh, well, we're over it, we brush aside it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So while they're not shying away from the mental health issues, they do shy away for some of the loose ends that come up in the story.
Right.
But so Seoyu, he puts up with his boss and his friend and his uncle and his ex is trying to take advantage of him. And any Tom, Dick, or Harry that's willing to recognize his false truth of being unworthy. It's also why he doesn't catch how thirsty people are for him. Ho-in's crush goes completely unnoticed until Seoyu's starting to recover. He can't even tell he's dating until the damn climax of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so Sung-hoon Choi is making up reasons to see him and sending him cutesy text messages and flowers, but Seoyu just perceives it as kindness from an endlessly considerate person.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, Sung-hoon is kind of that person, but he has to find that within himself. He spends the comic discovering the depths of his emotion thanks to Seoyu, and he repays that favor by expressing love and kindness. Sung-hoon doesn't understand being mentally ill, like, at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it becomes important to him to unravel that mystery to be a better partner to Seoyu. And it feels really real.
That's nice.
I, personally had a wild journey with depression and anxiety, but I appeared totally fine to even my closest friends because I was actively trying to separate that part of myself. So the revelation that I was fucked up was met with confusion and admonishments that it couldn't be true because you're so funny and you can't be depressed and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But people deal with that rhetoric every day, and I've heard that it's worse if you are hot. Because hot people can't be sad, since everyone loves them for being attractive.
Never thought about that. That sucks.
It is a thing. I've heard it.
Ugh.
I've had friends tell me, I have a lot of hot friends for some reason.
We do have a lot of very hot friends.
But they've told me straight up that they're sad, and they're told, well, you can't be sad because look at you.
Yeah. Mm.
But it's these stupid biases that we have around mental illness that cause these reactions. So I actually appreciated how Sung-hoon had to directly address his bias to truly love and respect Seoyu. And this is a comic where inhaling someone's stink can cause your butthole to get wet.
God.
This is what I find so fascinating about it. I wish we got more closure. I wish we saw the fucking baby. And I wish a few parts were written with a bit more finesse. But Bye Bye is still a fucking powerhouse in its own right. It's a comic that juxtaposes love and loss, hope and grief, and shows that there is always a tomorrow after rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to have a touching, silly, sad time, Bye Bye is for you. You can read Bye Bye on Tapas, and it contains suicide, suicidal ideation, depression, sexual harassment, mild violence, bullying, dismissive attitudes towards mental health, miscarriage, and shitty friends, partners, and family.
And probably loss of life should be included with his family trauma from that.
Yes, and then also, of course, just motherfuckers dying.
Yeah.
People just dying.
Yeah.
It's in the past, but it still comes up. So.
Yeah. I'm going to give it my whole chat rating. Honestly, this is a very good story. What is knocking it down for me, truthfully, is you've told me of these side characters and some other things that just aren't followed through. Mm-hmm. And I hate that so much.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than falling for a backstory or like falling for like a back character and you don't get all the answers. I hate loose threads. It drives me insane.
Yeah.
But this story is so compelling and so good. I'm still going to give it 8 out of 10, which like that's a very impressive score for me because I'm not kidding when I say I hate it when there's loose threads in a story. Mm-hmm. If there's a loose thread in a story, I normally do not like that story. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear about it. But this is so interesting. And I am so into the thought of a partner having to learn how to step up and be a good partner for someone with depression. Because that's a very good topic to discuss. That I feel like, 8 out of 10, I would actually read this. I'll just have to suck it up that there's all these loose threads. Mm-hmm.
If you want to reach out to the author, Sorim, you can find her on her Twitter at Sorim0807. I'll spell that. SORIM 0807. Or you can read the comic adaptation of one of her other works, Mission Save the Hunter, on Manta Comics. The artist is Kang Khan and can be reached at Do Down on Twitter. That's DOO_DOWN on Twitter. Or you can read one of her works that she wrote and drew for, Stigma or The Housekeeper's Load, both on Lazen.
What's The Housekeeper's Load about, you think? Is that, like, sexy?
It is, I mean, all of her stories have quite a bit of fucking in them.
Yeah.
The Housekeeper's Load is pretty fun from what I understand. Stigma is also ABO, and if you want to read that one, please proceed with caution. It is toxic yaoi. Toxic right out the gate. Though I will encourage you, if you don't want to actually read that one, just like give Stigma like a breeze through just to look at the pictures or whatever, because I do think her art is just so good in Stigma. It's crazy because it's pretty good in this one, but she really hit your stride in Stigma. So just look at the pictures. Don't read any of the toxicities. Look at the pictures if you don't want to. If you want more from us, you can hit us up on our Tumblr or Bluesky at whole-chat. You can also always leave comments on Spotify or YouTube. We'll read those also. And if you liked listening, be sure to give us a follow, tell your friends, link to your favorite episode, whatever.
Tell me about a murder that you know of.
Yeah, tell Keelz about a murder if you want to.
What's your favorite murder?
Oh, post whole pics that are not yours. Whole pics from comics. Post whole pics.
Okay, my eyes nearly popped out of my head.
I don't want to see your hole.
Holy shit.
But I do want character hole.
Gosh. Or like if you have a well in your backyard, show us that hole.
We'll also take cool holes that you see out in life that are not people.
Yeah, we don't want real people hole. It feels inappropriate and risky. And we don't want to go to jail.
Well, thanks y'all for listening. And tighten up.
Tighten up.